What's up, guys? Welcome back to another First to 20 video. It's your boy Skinner, and Reign of Jafar, only 2 weeks away, and I know we're all very excited. Everybody's already crafting new decks and getting everything ready for the future of this game, which is really exciting. But today's video is actually not a deck building video. We're actually talking art today, guys, and if you know Disney Lorcana, you know Lorcana has some of the most incredible, if not the most incredible art of any TCG out there, and there are some great ones out there, but something about Lorcana just brings a special feeling in your chest when you see it, and I'm really excited today to get into all of the Enchanteds coming in the Reign of Jafar. There are 19 if you include the Set Champs Enchanted, which is a whole lot of new cards, a whole lot of new things to collect. So let's get right into it and see which ones we like the most. So starting us off here, we have Jafar himself. This is the High Sultan of Lorcana. Such a cool name. And this will be the Enchanted that you receive if you make top 8 at the Set Champs for the upcoming Reign of Jafar Set Champs season. So you will be receiving a non-enchanted version just for entering the tournament, which is really cool. But if you do happen to make that top 8, this is the beautiful version you will be receiving. And as you can see, just such a cool card. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for villains in general. I can't wait till Hades gets his moment in the sun, truthfully, but Jafar looking so cool here, wearing the Hexwell crown, you know, summoning things with his sand. He looks like he's super incredibly powerful here, and it's just really cool. I know the Set Champs going on right now with Hero. There's been some discussion back and forth on, you know, how much people are really looking forward to that promo and playing to get that promo. However, this Jafar one I think is going to be very popular, and I think that we're going to have a lot of people at Set Champs trying to get their hands on one of these top 8 promos for sure. Alright, so now getting into the Enchanteds that are actually in the set that you can open in physical booster packs. This is Lady, Decisive Dog. Lady, very powerful. If you've been following the metagame at all, you know that Churn of Dogs is not only already a powerful deck, but going to continue being a powerful deck, if not the most powerful deck in the future. And this is just one of the additions to that deck. So overall, I think this card is going to be very sought after just because of the playability and because Lady and the Tramp are very classic characters. We saw Tramp in the last set, and he was pretty popular and playable, which helps. So I think having the two of them together as Enchanteds is really, really cool. Would have loved to see like the two Enchanteds come together to like make the spaghetti kiss thing. That would have been kind of cool, but I love what they're doing here with all the Jafar cards where you have this sand kind of coming in, and even though it looks like she's in a great mood, some evil could be lurking here with the sandy effect that's coming and taking over all of Arcasia. So really, really cool card, and although not my favorite of the Enchanteds, I think it will be a very sought-after card. Alright, up next we have WreckIt Ralph. So we've been seeing a lot of this racer synergy, right? A lot of racers been coming out, and everybody's been like, what's up with these racers? Like, are we ever going to have a real racer deck? And truthfully, once we have rotation in the near future, we may have an actual functional racer deck. So if we do get that eventually, we will see this Ralph most likely going up in playability. I think this art's really cool. Gives me kind of like Mad Max vibes, like he's out in the desert and he's like in his car driving and there's some giant scarab monster thing chasing him. So I think it's really cool. It really tells a story, a lot of action happening here. Overall though, not my favorite Enchanted in the set. I think it will be one that's a little bit less on the popularity scale unless you're really into WreckIt Ralph. But overall, still a really cool Enchanted. And let me just say they're all beautiful. Okay, I'm not saying any of them are bad, but I just think there's going to be a few that are more popular, and I don't see Ralph being on that list. So up next we have Perdita, and Perdita obviously very popular for the 101 Dalmatian fans out there. We have tons of people who just are dying to put together that puppy deck, dying to make it viable in the meta, and we're not quite there yet, but we do have a brand new card that will be helping out in that cause, and it is this Perdita. Art is really beautiful. I think it's very different that she's like, it looks like they're coming out of like a trumpet or brass of some sort, and then there's music notes, so it's a kind of an interesting visual considering that everything else is like pure sand. I know we're still using the sand here, but kind of an interesting take, which I think is really cool. Overall, I think the card's beautiful. I think all these cards are going to look even more gorgeous in person. Obviously, we can't see the foiling or anything on these images, so they're only going to look more beautiful, but I think this is a really great one. I think the blues and the golds are going to look great together, and I think if you're a 101 Dalmatians fan, you're definitely going to be trying to pick this one up. But yeah, I think it's a great card. Alright, up next, my personal favorite in the whole set. This is, man, what else could be said about this card? You can see the smile on my face. This card is just so Beautiful. It means no worries, right? And when I look at this card, it just tells the whole story of the Lion King to me, right? We just have all the characters, they're hanging out. I know a lot of people are asking, whose hands are those? You know, because you see those hands. They are Rafiki's hands. It's been confirmed. It's Rafiki holding a globe of some sort, and inside the globe is like all the characters, which I think is really cool. This card, honestly, I am so excited to see it in person. I think this is going to be the number one for me in the set. There are a couple that are close, to be honest, but this one, man, I love Lion King, the franchise, and I just love how many characters are included in this Enchanted. I know sometimes on the Enchanted we just get the main character, but being that it's an action, you know, we actually get all the characters, so I think this is going to be one of the most expensive in the set, in my opinion, and people are going to definitely be looking to pick this one up. All right, next up we have Bambi, and this is another banger here. This Bambi, just so beautiful, right? We haven't seen Bambi cards in the set until now, so I think for that reason alone, this Bambi is going to be very popular. People do love to collect those classic Disney characters and their first appearances in card games, and what better way to collect a Bambi card than this, right? She just looks amazing. Again, we kind of have those same kind of colors, those sandy kind of, although she's not in sand, she's in a flower, it still kind of has that sand effect. And I love the little crown above her head. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see unless you're looking for it, but it's almost like a little prince, you know, like since he is a prince. So really, really cool. And I love the little lore symbols that are hidden in the background as well. I think there's a lot of cool details, and I'm really excited to see how this one looks in person. Beautiful card. I think this one's going to be another one of the more expensive ones just because of the character. Whether or not the card is playable, we don't know yet. Personally, I don't really like the effects as much as a player, but as a card in general to collect, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I think it's going to be very popular. All right, up next we have Cusco, and man, this one is up there on my list. I will say not the hugest Emperor's New Groove fan. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. I do love Emperor's New Groove, but it's just not. It's not on the echelon of all the others for me. I know there's some diehards out there, and I'll leave it to them. You know, Breezy, you can have it. I know you're a diehard Cusco guy, but this card is up there for me. I think that the colors and that the way that this card is expressed is so awesome. As a Emerald Amethyst enjoyer myself, Emerald Amethyst main, if you will. I don't know if you guys ever remember that Page Master movie back in the day. There's a scene where he's in the library at the beginning, and the walls are melting different colors and everything, and that's kind of what this gives me. Almost like a toothpaste vibe coming out of the. I think it just spit all over the place. Like, you don't even need to look at the ink symbols. You can look at the card and be like, oh, okay, this is Emerald Amethyst, like 100%. And I love that they show that here, and I love that it's such a bright and explosive looking card. And this one, it's up there. I think it means no worries. Still number one for me, but this Cusco is high up on my list for cards that I want to find this set. All right, up next, Mother Gothel. So this one is a sleeper in my opinion. Number one, I do think it's playable, and I know that Ruby Amethyst is very popular. I don't know that it'll be playable right away. I'm not saying go pick up your play sets or anything like that, but I personally do like this card, and this is probably my third favorite in the whole set. I did see some Mother Gothel slander on Twitter about how this card is not a favorite, but I love this card. As somebody who, you may or may not be able to see lanterns on my arm, and I've got all this Disney stuff. I love the use of the lanterns in the background of Mother Gothel. I think it's so cool. Again, she's a villain, which I love villain cards, and I love seeing villains being portrayed in this cool way. The hair is yellow and stuff coming behind her, which shows like the magic of Rapunzel's hair healing her and making her young again. And it's just awesome. And there's a little hidden Mickey in the corner on the right side there, a little hidden Mickey in the lantern. So, personally, Rapunzel, Entangled in general, one of my favorite franchises. And although this is not a Rapunzel card, I do love the way that they portrayed Mother Gothel here, and I think this is an amazing card. Up next, we have Fantastical and Magical. So Mirabel getting another. She's been in a lot of Enchanteds, right? She's been in a couple different. This Is My Family. This one. She has her own card, so yeah, she's been on a few, but this is a really, really cool one as well. Fantastical and magical. I love the details in her family, how they're all like sketched together in the little bubble there. It's really, really cool. Overall, I think this is awesome. Again, we're using that sand to kind of bring in, you know, the light of the, you know, the candle and things like that. So I think it's really, really awesome art. As far as playability, not sure yet. This is something that we're going to have to wait and see. I'm not sure how high this will be on my list. I think this one would be probably not as expensive as some of the others. I find that a lot of times, unless the action is like really playable, they're kind of cheap. You know, Show Me More from the last set is a great example. I thought it was a beautiful card, personally one of my favorites, but just because it's not played, it's like 70, 80 bucks. So I think this will probably be one of the cheaper ones, but I still think it's a beautiful card and definitely worth picking up. All right, so remember all that stuff I said about 1, 2, and 3? This one's a wild card, right? Because I think this one could easily be in any of those spaces. I think it's a tie with 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be a very, very popular Enchanted. Into the Unknown, obviously, you know, if you don't know the song, your kids probably do. This is a very, very popular Disney song, especially for the new generation of children who love Frozen and love Elsa. We saw how insane the original Elsa was in set 1, which remains like pretty much like the Charizard of this game. It's just like one of the most iconic cards you can even look at, more than even Mickey Mouse. Like, you see Brave Little Tailor and he's beautiful, but like Elsa, right? Elsa is... that's something special. So I think this Into the Unknown card, not only is it incredibly playable, and a lot of people have been jumping on that Blurple wagon. People have been loving Blurple. So I think this card's going to be incredibly meta relevant. But it's a beautiful card featuring Elsa, featuring a popular song. I think this is going to be probably the most expensive in the set, if I had to guess. Which is interesting, because usually it's a character. But in this case, I think it's going to be a song. I think this is going to be probably the most expensive. I could be wrong. I think there's a lot of great contenders, but just because it kind of meets all the right, you know, checks all the right boxes, if you will. You know, playable, a beautiful character, beautiful art, you know, song that everybody knows, go on, so on and so forth. So really looking forward to seeing this one in person as well, and hoping to see all the people who find play sets for their Blurple decks. All right, up next we have Rapunzel. I know we were just talking about her mother Gothol, and now we're getting to Rapunzel herself, which also has lanterns and such in the background. This card is beautiful, and obviously art is subjective, guys. I should have probably said that at the beginning, but art is subjective, so don't think that I'm telling you you're wrong. If this is your favorite Enchanted in the whole set, that's totally fine. I'm so happy that you found one you love, and I hope you get 10 copies of it, you know. So I don't want to yuck on anybody's yum. Personally, not the hugest fan of this one, right? I do like the Gothel. Maybe it's just the theme, like it was darker and it had like the lights in the background and something was more epic about it. This one is cute, you know, she's like sliding down and it's pretty, you know, but for me, doesn't quite call to me as something that I'm like, oh my god, I need that for my collection. Would I be unhappy to open it? Absolutely not. But just not meeting my top of the set. But I still think it's a beautiful card, and those who love Rapunzel, and I know there's many of you out there, I think this is going to be a great one to go look for. Up next we have Captain Hook, and wow guys, wow. This one is awesome, right? So we have Captain Hook, and maybe I'm noticing I'm kind of liking all the villain ones, but I did like Into the Unknown as well, and that's not a villain one. So but yeah, I do love me some cool villains, and I just love how much is going on here. Obviously we have the sand ship, which I think is just a cool idea just from the beginning, but we have Hook, and then in the background it looks like he's got little lore pips, you know, underneath his hat there, and there's like the North Star, and there's just like a lot of stuff happening, details in the background. And I just love the colors of this one. In my opinion, when you first look at this card, it doesn't scream green steel. You would have to actually say like, okay, what colors are these? It's not like the Cusco where as soon as you see it, you're like, okay, I know what colors this is. But it's still an incredible art. I love how moody and like saturated the colors look. I think Captain Hook obviously is an incredible character in Disney history, and I think this is going to be another pretty popular one. You know, I'd be surprised if it's not. Wrong Lever. So up next we have a action for Emerald that is Wrong Lever from the Emperor's New Groove. So this is a cool one. There's a couple of exceptions, but generally actions don't always fall too high on my list. I find that either songs or characters usually are the most popular enchanteds in the set. So I don't think Wrong Lever is going to be one that everybody's running to find. But I do think it's still a great card that may have some playability. We'll see. I'm currently trying to brew some Wrong Lever shenanigans, so we'll see how we do. But I still think it's a great card. Again, I love the motif of the sand. I love how they incorporate it there. Obviously, Yzma and Kronk, very popular characters and a very popular scene. So I love that they did choose this card. But just from my personal opinion, not my favorite in the set, and I think it will be one that's in the lower bracket of cost. All right, so up next we have Lilo, and Lilo also a very cool one, right? Very popular character. Lilos generally in this game have been very playable. We probably had a few playable ones at least. Yeah, the couple that I could think of at the top of my head. So, and this one might also be playable, right? This one has the term, you may play this character for free in it. So whenever you see that, there's always a chance that this card is absolutely crazy. But yeah, I love to see that this got an Enchanted. I love seeing her in her little pajama suit onesie, just stomping around in the sand, and really cool a little feature that the sandcastle is, you know, the Jafar's palace thing going on. It's a very popular character. We have a Lilo and Stitch movie coming out, so people are going to be on that Lilo and Stitch kind of hype, and we'll get into the second half of Lilo and Stitch in just a few. But I think that this Lilo is going to be pretty popular, but she's about mid-tier on my list. So while we're talking about Lilo and Stitch, let's just get into it, right? So we have Stitch here as well, so it's going to be kind of cool to collect them both. You have Lilo and Stitch. Stitch, I think, is actually really, really cool. So there's a lot of really interesting potential for this card playable-wise. It does have some kind of new mechanics to it that are going to be interesting to explore, and I love seeing that Lorcana is taking some, you know, chances with their design and seeing how people are able to use them. So it's a very interesting card that's kind of hard to evaluate. But as far as art goes, I think that it's an awesome looking card. Obviously the signature 626 experiment, he's slobbering all over the front of the screen there. You know, you see all the little stitches behind him because he's just jumping around everywhere. So I think it's a really, really cool one. Obviously we have Rockstar Stitch that we saw in the past, and that's an iconic Stitch card. But I think this one's a little more classic. This one brings us back to, you know, the beginning of when Stitch first gets to Earth and he's still in his 626 uniform. I also think this card is going to be pretty valuable just because it's Stitch. So many people love Stitch. You know, there's Stitch fanatics out there. So I know this one's probably going to be expensive just on that alone. But overall, I think a really, really cool card. And if it's playable, it could be even more. All right, up next we have Mushu, which is a character that's been long requested in this game. For a long time, we weren't even sure if we'd ever see a Mushu card. It felt like we were asking and never heard back. You know, it felt like nobody heard us, but they heard us, and they gave us this really cool Enchanted Mushu. Again, a really cool theme with the little lore symbols behind the kite there, behind his rocket. You can see the little lore symbols that are there. I think that's a really cool feature that a lot of these Enchanteds have included. I love how much is happening. It looks like we're in the middle of an action scene. You know, the rocket's blasting, the snake is glaring its eyes at us. There's sand coming around. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening in this art, and I love that it looks like it's in the middle of a scene, right? This doesn't look like everybody posed for a picture and they drew it. It looks like there's something happening, and in the middle of that action, we caught this screen cap, right? So I love this art. I think it's going to be another incredibly popular one. I think there's a lot of good ones in this set, guys. I know we have some incredible stuff coming in Fabled, but overall I think that Ravensburger has upped the ante on all their Enchanteds and made them a lot more desirable. All right, up next we have Sword of Shen Yu, and while I am pretty confident this card may be actually good, I think we may actually see this card in play, in which case would kind of save this card. I find like a lot of times these Enchanteds that are just like an item are just not as exciting. In the previous set we had a diamond and stuff like that. Those cards tend to not be super desirable. Like the Sword of Shen Yu, I would have loved to see like an art of Shen Yu like swinging it or something, and then like it's zoomed in on his hand and that's the sword. You know, just seeing like a sword like just kind of floating there, not the most exciting for me. You know, it is cool that it's inside this hourglass and things like that, so like I get what they were trying to do here, but yeah, just not my personal favorite. But I do think it might be playable, and if it is, and people are looking to get their sets for their decks, in that case I could see this card actually being potentially you know, desirable. But I definitely think it's going to be unfortunately towards the bottom of the list when it comes to Enchanteds you're hoping to pull on day one. Up next we have this gorgeous Jasmine, and this was actually the first Enchanted, if I'm not mistaken, that was revealed for this set and kind of set the bar for what we were going to be expecting. And obviously, you know, Ravensburger has surpassed the bar in every way, but this card is absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's number one, it's a Disney princess, right? So Disney princesses already, you know, pushes the card up in value. Just the imagery here, you know, having that sand yet again, I know I've said it a lot of times, but sand is really cool. And then having almost like this, I don't know if it's like a phantasmal Raja or like a spirit Raja on her shoulder that's kind of there. Like, that's such a cool image. And I feel like she's like, you know, sneaking around outside, but she has like almost like powers. I don't know what's going on with this Floodborn here. If this card is indeed playable, I think obviously it will go up in price. But I think just because it's Jasmine and it's a really cool art, it's still going to be hovering in that mid tier, and definitely an Enchanted that you wouldn't be upset to have. And finally, we have Desperate Plan, and this card is really interesting because I think this card may have a lot of meta potential. This card is very strong and has a very unique effect that I think a lot of Steel decks are looking for right now. And I'd love to see that they made it into an Enchanted. We have Raya versus Namari reaching for the crown. I think it's really, really awesome. Cool action shot here. And yeah, if people are searching for their playsets of this card, you can expect it to be quite expensive. So although, you know, not necessarily a character or a song, still has a possibility to be pretty expensive, just because I think out of all the ones that were shown today, this one is probably one of the more playable runs. I think there's a few, but I think this one is going to be up there in cards that people are going to be including in their decks. And of course, if you're including it in your deck and you're one of those foil out people, you're going to want to have everything foiled out, all the cards blinged out. So I think Desperate Plan is going to be one that people are looking for. So because of those reasons, I do think this card will be among the more expensive of the set. But we'll have to wait and see what the decks shake out to look like. I'm really looking forward to the next couple weeks so I can get my hands on Reign of Jafar, open some packs, and hopefully see those amazing Enchanteds in person. So let me know which ones you're looking for down in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear, and obviously art is subjective, guys, so you could totally have a different opinion on mine. I just wanted to share what I thought was the best, what I thought was the coolest, possibly most expensive. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude on the internet. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you guys had a great time here with me. And until next time, we'll see you on the flip side. Be safe out there. Peace.